So, hey everyone, welcome to another FSElite interview, and to everyone watching at home. This is our FlightSimExpo 2021 coverage, and right now I am joined by Oscar from Virtual Fly. And yeah, we're going to talk about all the things that you've been showing off at the in person event and all the other stuff that you've showed online as well. So, welcome, Oscar. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Callum. As always, nice to see you again. It was such a long time, and hello everyone watching this interview.
Excellent. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay. So we can see your background. Your head is kind of covering a little bit. Tell us about what you guys are showcasing at Expo this year.
Well, first of all, just so everyone knows, I'm Oscar. I'm in charge of the sales and marketing department at Virtualfly and the Aerocat Global Group within which forms part of Virtualfly. And as you mentioned, Callum, behind is one of my flight panels that are going to be the FlightSimExpo. This is a solo GA or general aviation flight panel, and it's a new line that we've created, designed from scratch, and present to all the community. It's a low-cost kind of line for domestic use, but also for professional use because it's actually being certified as BATV by the FAA. We have to just change a few aspects that they told us in terms of starting engines and so, but once that is done, it will be a basic aviation training device, so that also for professional use. And this GA line is, this one here, as I mentioned, this one is analog. It's a touch screen flight panel, single engine piston, twin engine piston, single engine turboprop, twin engine turboprop, and the best thing, Alan, is that it's compatible with three softwares: PPD, X-Plane, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is of course very exciting because it's basically used by anyone in the community. Completely, completely compatible, 100%. We work together with the big engineering team, and they did a great job. And then we're going to take this one and the brother or sister, which is the Solo GA1, which is exactly the same but G1000. So instead of having this analog touchscreen, we're going to have the two G1000 screens, our BF G1000, and as well you can be use it in Microsoft 320. You can use it on X-Plane, single engine piston, twin engine piston, for 3D. So that's very exciting to show the community. I'm sure they're going to love it, and it's also on the website if they want to see the information. And then the last thing we're going to take, and that was a bit of a last minute thing, was the new DA40 and DA42 FAA certified flight panel and flight simulator, everything. And we're taking it directly from our showroom in Tampa. It's a very, very, very nice and very high quality flight panel that we did for some clients. For instance, FTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, which have a lot of DA40s, and we're taking it from our showroom for any professional flight school, any professional academy to look at it and see what we are capable of. I'm sure it's going to be a very nice booth for people to fly, and I'm sure very attractive.
Amazing. So hopefully we're going to get some pictures of that, and we can kind of show them over this video in just a second as well. But we can edit all that stuff in, so don't worry if you haven't got them with you right now. So that's really awesome. And you mentioned about different flight schools and stuff, and currently you're in Mexico. You've been to a flight school. So what do you do at Virtualfly to help with flight schools and people learning to fly?
Okay, so I'm actually going to put this here while you talk. Now you see while you make the question, here's the Solo GA1, which is exactly the same with G1000. So Callum, very good question. A little bit of context, as you mentioned, I'm in Mexico City now. I just came from Mérida, Yucatan, where I was with iFly Escuela de Vuelo, which is one of the biggest flight schools in Mexico, operating Cessna 172, 182, Beach Baron, and the biggest industrial fleet in Latin America. And what we do with flight schools is basically what we've done with iFly Mexico, which is, of course, help them in many ways. First thing we do, of course, is help them in the flight simulation area. So they have, for instance, 3 flight simulators now, which are literally booked to the fullest every day. So that's very good for them because all the flight students can practice before flying. They can do muscle memory, procedures, everything that people know simulators are good for. And then, of course, financially, it's very good for them because, a $20,000 to $30,000 flight simulator like the one they have, with the students they have, let's say 100, 120 per year minimum, they amortize those simulators very, very quickly, and so that's also something we help flight schools to earn money with our simulators. And then in this case with iFly, it's a very interesting concept that we work with different flight schools as well, which is they are also distributors for us. So if there's anyone interested in our simulators, either if it's an individual or another flight school or a STEM education program or whatever, they can actually sell the simulators as distributors as well. And in the end, they're paying for their own simulator, right? Because they get their margin and they actually end up paying for their simulator. So it's an excellent option for many of our distributors, many of our clients and friends. That's what I'm doing at the moment here in Mexico. Traveling and being with them. We're also going to the FAMEX, which is the Feria Aeronáutica de Mexico, the biggest Latin American aeronautical fair. And then after that, hopefully, we can enter USA after my 14-day, stop, legal stop. And hopefully the nice US agents will let me in. And I have a new tour here. Actually going to as well be visiting some of the flight school and some clients. I'm going to be in Chicago, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, with some of our clients there. So yeah, basically that's what I do. I try and look after as much as I can the clients and just help as we can. We're very happy because when you mix high quality flight simulators at a very reasonable price, with great support in terms of technical support and sales support, when you mix everything together, just the only word it can be success. So
amazing. So you're going to be quite busy over the next couple of weeks then.
I'm going to be quite busy.
Yeah.
This is my first week now, and now another week in Mexico, and then on the 24th, FlightSimExpo. Where people are going to be seeing this FlightSimExpo. I'm hopefully going to be there if the US lets me in 10 more days.
Amazing. So, you've obviously spent a lot of time with different clients and also, I guess, a range of flying abilities and stuff like that. Have you seen a lot more interest in aviation and flying since Microsoft released the flight sim last year?
Absolutely, Callum, absolutely. We've seen it directly and indirectly. Directly, for instance, we saw it because in August 2020, when Microsoft released their public first version, let's say, the sales for high-end, in our case, flight controls, was crazy. It was, we were sending, I don't know, I'm not exaggerating, 30 boxes, 40 boxes per day, which for a high-end, or let's say expensive node manufacturer, is really, really amazing, right? And it was very, very good for us because we really prepared for it. We knew that people were going to be engaged because Microsoft, we work with Microsoft directly, and that we visit them before COVID in Seattle. We were there with York and with all the engineering team working on were working on being one of the first compatible manufacturers, right? And that people knew that. We were also mentioned in some articles and their our website as well as FSElite. So people knew that we were compatible, that we had a good product, and we saw the sales grow perfectly. So for sure, we've seen the market and the community grow since 2020, and then out of the community, I've also seen personally a lot of my pilot friends, non-pilot friends, being very interested and asking about flight simulation and just aviation itself, right? Which they couldn't have asked if Microsoft didn't release such an amazing product, especially things like, for instance, being able to see, I mean, your home, your workplace, your local airport in such detail is something that really people like and people consider. Hey, let's see what this aviation thing is all about. And yeah, I've seen a huge growth since 2020 for sure.
So you mentioned earlier some of your stuff is FAA approved. Do you have to specify which simulator you use or people use for that, or is that more to do with the hardware itself rather than what simulator they use?
So, for instance, look here, it's one of the simulators we use. I'm changing my office every time. So the question that you're asking, what is exactly the question that you're asking? How can I focus the answer?
So if someone was to buy one of your FAA approved pieces of hardware, could they use Microsoft Flight Simulator, or do they have to use a FAA approved simulator as well?
Okay, so that if the certification of a flight simulator, of course, all of it is under very specific requirements, BATD and FAA, BATD, AATD, general FAA requirements that are under a specific document. I don't have the document's name on my head, but anyway, and it needs to be very specific in terms of hardware and software. Yes, as you mentioned. So, for instance, as this one here, the DA40. This one it has a specific flight panel. It has a specific computer. It has a specific software. In this case, P3D. So it cannot be certified, or you cannot fly it certified.
Right.
It's compatible because we work with compatibility all the time, but it's not going to be certified, so you're not going to be able to count your flight hours and so. Software and hardware for certification are very kind of related and closed, and you cannot go out of that pack.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can create addendums to it. So if you have, this, for instance, this simulator is an addendum. This simulator is a addendum from our Solo Pro G1 and Solo Pro A flight panels, which are Cessna flight panels and flight simulators. And the only thing we did was say, hey, we're going to give you exactly the same, but we're going to change the model, and we're going to change some things, an SD joystick. And if you tell the FAA, if you let them know about these changes, you just do like kind of an addendum and it's already certified. So that's what we're trying to do with all our flight simulators. For instance, we're trying now to certify some Duo Pros with X-Plane instead of P3D, and the only thing we need to do is just, But of course, it needs to be kind of. It's not as let's say the requirements are not as strict as in Europe, for instance. In Europe, it's crazy. The AATD by FAA in Europe is called the FNPT2. That's the of it. And literally, if you have your simulator in this room, like you see, and you move it like to another 1 or 2 meters there, the certification needs to start from scratch.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's not that crazy here in the US, but you just have to follow the requirements, software, hardware-wise, and that's it.
Cool. Okay. I just imagine there's probably a few people watching who are curious to learn a little bit more about that. So moving away from kind of certification and stuff, then. So right now you're in Mexico legally to um, get into America to obviously go on your little tour, go to Expo and stuff. And obviously COVID has had a massive impact on, travel, but also hardware and stuff. We've seen a lot of hardware manufacturers having issues in terms of developing their stuff and being able to send it out to people. Have you guys seen similar issues, or are you having different issues related to the pandemic?
So, what we've seen in terms of issues, the good thing is, and going back to as well to when Microsoft was released, we saw a huge raise of people, potential clients wanting to buy flight controls, right? Um, so we knew that once the pandemic was on and once Microsoft was going to be released, we knew there was going to be kind of explosion because people were at home without the possibility of leaving and spending their money in restaurants, traveling, or even real flying. So people are going to spend their money in other things such as flight simulation. So what we saw is exactly what we had planned. A huge raise in flight panels, flight controls, and that was not an issue for us, fortunately, because we created a very progressive and very nice production in series, which led to us never being out of stock. Something that was a very big problem and is still a very big problem for other brands. So yeah, that was something that really helped us. People that couldn't buy other cheaper or less expensive flight controls ended up coming to us. So in the end, people spending money in flight simulation and not being able to spend money in some of the other brands really helped Vertify to grow. And we saw a rise of almost 95 to 100% in sales, not only in the website, but through all our distributors in the States, in the UK, Flight Webshop, Flight Sim UK Limited, X-Force PC, Jetlight Systems, all of them, crazy explosion. So for us, to be honest, it was not an issue. It was more of a well, thank God we're selling these flight controls because all of the other projects were stopped. Of course, we had very big projects going on. Flight schools, with flight academies, with universities, with theme parks, not theme parks, but theme parks that wanted some flight simulators which were not so professional. All of those were stopped, right? And that was very bad. As I suppose for many people it was the same situation. So yeah, that was a bit of destabilizing. We're not selling so much flight simulators, but we're selling a lot of flight controls. So yeah, it was really great for us.
A bit of a balancing act come the end.
That's it. Yeah, and of course now we've seen that it's stabilized again, right? We saw this big growth, and it started in April 2020, just when everything shut down and everyone was at home. So that's when the big peak, and then stabilized at a very big peak for 5, 6, 7 months. Then of course the very good, for example, September, October, November, December are always very good for all companies because there's Black Friday, there's Christmas and everything. But then in January it started going down again, and now it's stabilized, and we're still selling a lot and more than 2019. But of course, things have stabilized. People can spend their money in other things.
Yeah.
People, need to leave their home. They're tired of being locked down, right?
Yeah. Fair enough. So you also mentioned other manufacturers and competing brands and stuff as well. I don't know about you, but I've seen a massive influx in hardware developers over the last probably year and a half, ever since basically Microsoft released the sim. What are your thoughts then from a virtual flight perspective to see different manufacturers and people starting to develop flight sim hardware who have never touched flight sim hardware in the past?
Well, it's very good because it only means that flight sim hardware has a very bright future and a very a very bright future, and it means that these companies have really done their job in studying and analyzing, and that's perfect. I think it's great for the community, because the community, and now not talking in terms of business, but you, Callum, or me, Oscar, as flight sim enthusiasts and pilots, we would love to have a huge range of options, right? Flying with Xbox, which I tried the other day, and it's wow, amazing. Yeah, so I was flying with the Xbox, and I think Turtle Beach is releasing a new control, which is very, very inexpensive. It's great that there's a lot of new manufacturers out there. In not only manufacturers of hardware, but a lot of software developers as well. It means that flight simulation is growing. Flight simulation has a very, very good future, nice future, and it only means that virtual flight needs to be on top of the league. We need to continue developing. We need to continue releasing new products, and that's actually what we're doing. So, I can let you know a little bit here.
Yes, please.
A few things that we're going to be releasing. They were going to be released in 2021, but we don't want to make people wait on 6, 7, 8 month pre-orders. So we're probably going to be looking at the beginning of 2022, which is less than 3 months away. But I can tell you that we're very, very, very interesting projects like new models, radio stack modules, avionic modules, lighting modules, which means that you're focusing a lot on the cockpit builder, who is creating a flight simulator at home, and for example, they need the start engine sequence. Well, they can buy a virtual start engine module, or someone who just wants to buy a part of the radio stack where there's all the information on the autopilot, and we're creating one for those clients as well. We're also creating new or improved controls, but I cannot tell you more about that, unfortunately, because it's going to be very soon. But new flight controls and updated flight controls, which is very, very exciting to see. And for sure we will have some probably in the FlightSimExpo.
Amazing. So what are you most looking forward to at Expo if you manage to get in next week?
If I manage to get in, it's for sure meeting the people there. Unfortunately, not you,
I know,
which I'm always happy to. But meeting the people is always great. I'm sure DeAndre here, Ken from Jetline, is going to help us in the virtual fly booth. Ed Valdez, who is our certifier, and then seeing people from outside of or not friends, just be competitors, seeing people who we work with, like John from Stay Level, just meeting everyone is the best part. The best part for sure, and it's always very exciting. Also meeting friends from YouTube. I don't know who's going to be there this year, but normally David from Air Force Proud is there. Squirrel, and all of these. That's the best part for sure. And then the other best part is releasing new stuff or new, if not new products, peaks of new products like the modules that I mentioned. that's the best thing, and talking to the client, because when there's constant feedback, physical feedback, that's the best way um, to interact with the client and to really know what are they looking for. And actually, our new products just come from those conferences. They come from talking to Callum, to our prescribers, talking to our clients and possible clients, and seeing what they need. So that all of that is what I'm looking for.
Amazing. I'm super jealous. Gutted I can't be there to have a drink with you and everybody else. But hey, that's just the world we live in right now. So next year. So thank you so much, Oscar, for taking the time. I know it don't look like you're in Mexico because you've been showing all your different backgrounds and stuff. But enjoy the rest of your time there, and obviously enjoy FlightSimExpo. For everyone else who's watching at the moment, all of the things that Oscar's been talking about in terms of the cockpits and the little modules and stuff, I'm sure we'll have all the images and stuff up on FSElite over the course of FlightSimExpo weekend. But Oscar, thank you so much. Enjoy the show, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Callum, for, as always, helping VirtualFly and supporting VirtualFly. It's always great to see you, great to work with FSElite, and everyone at the FlightSimExpo, as Callum mentioned, more than happy to visit you in the booth, to see you in the booth. If I'm not there because legally I cannot be there, and Walter will be there, but I'm sure there's not going to be any problems. And thank you again. See you soon.
No worries. Take care. Bye.